It's broken up a little garbled. Okay, well, let's call the meeting to order. We have a quorum, and I thank everybody for attending either in person or for those of us who are in faraway places. Thank you, everybody, for joining, and this meeting is now called to order at 6:01 p.m. First item on the agenda, are there any comments from the owners that are there joining us in the room?
It's cold outside, but it is warm enough.
Well,
We're good, Jeff. We have a heat wave
it's even colder where I am. I'm up in the mountains somewhere in North Carolina, and it's freezing here. Okay, well,
They're
anyway,
wearing shorts. Sorry for 111. Yeah, the flight again. I was, it's like.
okay, so team, we can get through this item pretty quickly. The first item is splash pad update. First of all, I'm excited that we're getting to the final stages of our first project that being sponsored by the Master Planning Group. The team from Splash Pad USA will be returning. The concrete is now set. It's been set for over 45 days. They will come back this Friday to start the next and final stages of the project, which is coating of the deck, followed by the equipment installation. Everything is going fine, so the only issue will be weather. And then I'm just getting echoing, I guess. Weather depending, they'll finish the fence working up. And gosh, that's just driving me crazy. Okay, and then if all goes to schedule, they should be finished by the first week of December. Then we'll have some more inspections, and hopefully we'll have the grand opening in early to mid-December, most likely mid-December. Any
Did we
questions?
decide on the color?
Yeah, the perimeter bill, was there any conclusion on that,
You
Joe?
guys voted 2, 2, and 2, so.
Yes, so,
We had the
yeah.
staff vote.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
We
we'll
were
go to-
2-2. I should have updated. We were 2-2-2, of course. That's what happens. And so I asked Jacob and Lauren and the team what they thought. And then they opened it up to their staff of and read whoever, a group of 40 plus people who unanimously voted for the I forget, I don't have the name here in front of me, the dark
The dark
blue.
blue.
Oh, the dark blue.
Yes. Yes. So we're
That's what my
going with,
kid voted for.
I'll say Lauren and I were each surprised. We didn't think it would go dark blue, but
Yeah.
and I don't,
Grant might as well take all feedback from the community since it was your.
so actually, this being said, this was based on a poll results I'm sharing with Impact, and this is just a staff poll that Impact can do or choose whatever
yeah,
they
I
want.
got it.
So,
But again, it wasn't sponsored by Impact. It was truly management's decision on what the final color was.
it was not our decision. We just provided a recommendation.
So then do we need to vote whether we accept it or not?
I'm fine. That was my second choice anyway.
Yeah, it was
So-
Mark's
Yeah,
second
that was
choice.
technically my second choice.
Alright.
And it was Alex's first choice. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and Splash Pad USA thinks that's a good choice. So so I think that's what we go with.
Yeah,
Okay.
it stand out, so I think it's fine.
And I think that what makes our committee so great, is that we're so
That's fair, yeah.
like
It's-
a mixed group.
Going to Alex's point too in his email, it won't show as much dirt too with
Right, yeah,
getting wet.
that was my second choice.
Funny part is, you tend to see some stuff on the blue, but it's lighter colored.
Yeah.
It's here or there.
I just feel like the blue would be more faded in the sunlight and potential chipping. So that's my concern with that.
Yeah,
Sorry. I didn't hear what that concern was. Can you repeat that? I think it was
Yeah, the
Andrew.
concern was since it's a darker color, the sun might fade it quicker. And then just potential chips, you'd see it much more because you have such a dark building. That's all.
I'll ask, about the, I think, I want to go ask, but I think the warranty is crazy long for that surface. So I think they'd have to come back, but let me ask Splash Pad USA. I think it's like a 10-year warranty on the surface. I could be wrong. So let me ask, I'll ask that. That's a good point, Andrew.
Well, what is the surface color? Isn't it dark anyways?
It's a light blue dark, it's like speckle.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, the actual splash pad surface, light blue, dark blue, and then the perimeter,
Yeah.
that small apron will be dark blue. Okay, if there's no other questions,
Yeah.
we will move on to a town hall update. If Lauren and or Mark or anybody can give an update, that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I'll just say it's progressing, certainly very well. I'll let these guys kind of say a little bit more, but it is on schedule. On budget, everything's moving just fine. It's nice to see the progress they're doing and exactly fixing the things that caused the problem in the first place. And I'm oddly excited just seeing the ditch around the thing, for excavation around basically. So that's all somebody had to do a long time ago. So anyway, it's progressing.
Yeah, I'll show them. It was a request by some of the board members that we really show focus to the community on the exterior efforts to mitigate this situation in the future. So this went out earlier this week, sharing, one of the key focuses was to prevent future water intrusion. And this included site grading, which has been corrected, a new storm drainage system, which is being installed, and new improved windows and proper sealing of the building to help prevent issues like this in the future. We also sent out some updates with some photos. So that this picture on the left is of the large meeting rooms. So you can see that space and the wall that's been knocked out. The usable space in these meeting rooms stopped at this between these two windows here. So the rooms are getting about a third wider of usable space. Over this picture, you can see the work of the HVAC, which runs through these large top beams, and the sprinkler system. Found that interesting. That's why they exist, is for the mechanical. The HVAC system is all getting installed. They have, a tougher time than they expected removing the old system, which was basically fused into that building. So they definitely agreed it was due for an upgrade. So everything, that full system is being replaced. You can see some of the exterior work taking place in this, which resulted in the site grading around the perimeter. So I know this was that big thing. A lot of this land was actually up to the seal. So this has been pushed back with further work to be done. And then the drainage system being delivered, all of the large pipes going in the ground, showing being how it was installed to the building, and the new main pour outs area being installed as well. So as Mark said, it's going pretty well. Overall, they're right on schedule. They've actually finished the demo a bit ahead of schedule. Ran into just a couple unexpected items. One with the fire riser, which was outside, not part of the project scope, but it just was no longer working. So that did result in the first change order to the project to get the fire riser replaced. As of today, that installation is nearing completion. And I'd say that's mainly it. There's some things going to the board next week with 2 change orders. One is of a large value engineer of adjusting the branding of the flooring, which provided some large cost savings while remaining in the same design intent. That needed to be used partially to acquire flooring for the bathrooms, which were not going to be redone, but due to changes in the ADA required rebuilding of the stalls, which was going to leave holes in the floor. This would have mitigated if we had spare flooring of that original flooring, but we don't, so all of the flooring is replaced in that. And then, redoing the storefront, so the building, the glass entrance at the front of the building and the side of the building, getting those replaced is also going to be, is utilizing the rest of that savings.
Yeah, just a question on the downspout drainage. Are they covering up where the downspout goes into the drainage so that there's no debris or other things that go into the drainage system and then clogs it?
You mean like in this section?
Yeah,
here?
I mean, that picture right there, that's not exposed and fully open, that they're closing that off somehow. I don't know if there's a cap that then it fits into or something, but just to close off so there's no exposure of that drainage outside of the actual downspout.
I'm not sure, but I will have that looked into.
Jacob, can you comment on what net effect of those change orders are when we roll it all together?
Still a savings of $700.
Those basically neutral, I think.
Yeah.
The glass and everything else.
Yeah,
And the dumpster thing.
Separate project.
that's being pulled out of this project completely because it's not part of the board decided they didn't want that to be part of this, so
Still capital expense. still-
it'll be a separate capital expense, not tied to this project.
That's cheaper. So
What's the dumpster issue?
So there is no current dumpster enclosure for the buildings. The dumpsters sit out in the parking lot, so this would be to build a dumpster enclosure where they sit in the parking lot.
It's just another, it should have a dumpster enclosure. What was the dumpster enclosure is being expressed. Other things ever since on this one.
Yeah, it's been the NEV charging thing
Yeah, but-
or
yeah, exactly. So
they've had NEVs.
Yeah.
So
it absolutely 1000% is. Says it has to have an enclosure. So
Yes.
It needs to be done. It should still happen while they're here, however, it just started. But I'll leave that up to.
D'Angelo Simon is responding to the RFP, so if they are awarded it, then the work can take place during this. If it's awarded to a different contractor, then we'll have to have those discussions if they're allowed to be on the active construction site. If not, it'll have to be done after the project.
It'll end up being after.
Did I hear correct that there is an enclosure, it's just being used for something else?
It's been
that
the
way
net
for
way forever.
a really, really long time. So
There's no other place to put an enclosure? Outside, unless you're putting it into the parking lot, because
it's, that's where the dumpsters are now. I haven't looked at it personally. I know that the dumpsters are sitting there.
The dumpsters sit in 2 parking spots right now.
right,
Yeah.
if we have an enclosure,
You could
Why are
move
they
the
using that
NEVs
for
over there.
extra
We would just send you to wire charging and
In other words, somebody decided a long time ago, it's way the heck easier to pull the charging stations right off the panels and turn right there. And get electricity in short distance flowing to that. Instead of maybe thinking about that a little bit further.
but if I'm picturing it, isn't there some green space closer to the woods?
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of places to put it. Yeah, you could easily put it.
So it's not really taking more parking spaces out, but it's directly next to the building.
Uh,
Silver sanitation still has to get their truck over there.
Yeah,
to
the
dump
truck
it.
has to
You know,
have a
it's
straight
right
shot
there.
in it. I,
And do those chargers actually work, or are they
That's where
outdated?
we charge our NEVs when we're at town hall.
So they don't function still?
Yeah.
Are they the slow ones or the fast chargers?
you're not talking about the NEV chargers that you're
You're
referencing
referencing
the
Nova charge.
the Nova Charge
We don't use those
vehicle
for
chargers, and those are left open for residential charging. And they are
So you
slow
have the
charging.
2 exposed,
Mhm.
and then you have an additional 2 within the enclosure, 3.
3, 4.
those are just 110 volt, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
Which is an extension cord, normal extension cord.
Essentially,
Right now.
yes.
Yeah, you can run those from any place.
So yeah, I would question if the enclosure's already there. Nice that the NEP chargers were there, but do you build out something for the NEP chargers and use the trash enclosure for its purpose that it was for? Or do you build something for the actual trash? That's a big question we should search and look at over the next month. to figure out what the proper recommendation should be.
The RFP design build and track composer was already issued and closes what, next week?
Mhm.
So
And
why
board
did they pull it out of the
and board
project?
directive.
Or directed.
We ended up doing the design work.
It's a design build RFP, so
Oh. Okay. So we didn't, the collect,
So like it's,
What
it
is
is
responding?
responding to the RFP and the end of the item is responding to the RFP.
So that's a certain amount then, right? Cause you need. What, 3 responses? Or
3
how
responses
much,
or
how much
multiple
are you
declines.
looking at?
We haven't got the responses yet.
What was the original change order for? About 2020?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That was just for design.
but you rejected that.
Yes, that's ridiculous.
I said,
I laughed at that one, so I have to make a profit off this. And get it totally done with the architects that are doing the pickleball courts, the multi-purpose courts. Cheaper.
So are you expecting the bids to come back on that?
Next week.
Monday.
Any other town hall questions? Art, do you want to talk about the multi-purpose
Yeah.
boards?
That's actually not the latest plan.
This is the latest that they've sent
Yeah,
us.
before we,
Okay.
but hold on.
Well, this is
just
the
a minute.
same.
Hey, Gene, okay.
Go ahead, Joe.
All right, so just before we get into the latest plan, I just want to step back. I want to thank, first of all, Mark for all the work he's done here. This is a lot of work. You know, we had a meeting on October 23rd with the architects, Lauren, and it was there helpful. But Mark's leadership has been very important here because we've had meetings and we've got projects to get surveys done, civil plans done, issues with stormwater design. It's really hard for me to speak because I get this terrible echo. So I apologize if I sound confused more than I normally am. So just a tremendous amount of work that's being done. And before we get into the details, we are progressing on schedule for this. We hope to get enough preliminary work done that we can get a rough order of magnitude cost for this project within the next 30 to 45 days. So even though the engineering work won't be done, we'll at least have a general idea so that we can then adjust the scope of the project, make it bigger or smaller, depending upon where that cost estimate comes out. So now I'll turn it over to Mark, but I just want to
Yeah.
thank Mark and Lauren for all the work they're doing, because it's a lot of work here. Done well.
There is one more generation I'll say to this. So on this plan shows a bunch of 4 square courts. We've actually changed that to a artificial turf area with the ability to do cornhole, some other stuff in it. So the area to the right will have a few more things than the extra amount of
Hey,
Pretty
hey,
close.
Mark, just one comment on that. I spoke to the guy who runs cornhole. There was a fellow, or at least he alleges to be running it, but his name was listed as the contact. And coincidentally, that space we have for the 4 square courts, that is exactly within a couple feet of the required amount of space needed for the cornhole. So
Yeah,
we could fit at
yeah,
least 2. Yeah.
Yep, they, so JVB has actually drawn it. I guess I realize I have one more version of the drawings than anybody
Okay.
else does. It is on this, drawing that she has up going closer on. So that is correct. It has 2 full sets. Of,
Exactly.
3
Yeah.
Yeah, so it fits perfectly. So anyway, that's a nice area to have, and obviously if it's not cornhole, somebody play there with something else. So it does leave quite a bit of flexibility. In
And
other
it could
words,
still be
and
4.
Otherwise, that's space.
Yeah, but just for clarity, it could still also be 4 square, because 4 square, right? Cornhole's not like striped, so it could be multifunction in that area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You can play anything over there. And
Yeah.
honestly, it might be a better service for younger kids and other people, especially when it's used for other uses. So anyway, the building design, the ports are pretty well worked out. The last piece that we needed to know about was whether or not the retention worked. There was a easement in place to have an L-shaped retention. I was pretty convinced from the first day I looked at this that we could get the retention pond to work the way dead straight. Turns out that is correct. The civil engineers have confirmed that we can do the pond as a straight run. And it just needs one more inlet, which it would have needed anyway from the parking side to go across it. So good news is we don't have any issues with the encumbrance on the side itself. So the plan works exactly the way it is. We're worried about that. If the retention needed the L. But it is not. The only piece with that is still searching for where that easement was recorded because they're not able to find it. So it's been a few questions back on that part to see if that was actually recorded or not on the property. But the good news is it works exactly as intended, so it fits. It should be fine. The architects said that they could have a set potentially end of next week for the schematic design, which is a normal stage in it, and moving a little bit further to give us a set to get a price. Angela Steinman, knowing that it will probably go out to bid to other contractors, has agreed to do it at no cost, otherwise been an outside estimator or something else. So anyway, they can cover this one, having asked them that question, so they can throw a price at it, and they're willing to do that for us, knowing that this will go out to bid otherwise. So they should be able to turn that around relatively quickly after we get them the set of drawings.
Mark, what you end up on court with?
They are still what we had drawn in order to add the extra feet. I had a discussion with this with the designers. They did say that this is what does happen. If we widen it out, we lose an entire court. So I guess the question is it better to have 6 courts or 5 with the extra space?
So how wide is it now with 6?
20 feet.
What is it?
Maybe it's 30.
It's the 5 in between, so you have the little fence.
Yeah, so it's 10 in between the courts.
5 on each side of the fence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or it's 20 wide and then there's 5 feet on each side.
Right.
30 feet.
So 30 wide.
Yeah, they were suggesting,
30.
they were suggesting a couple more feet.
But this
Yeah,
this is what we can do with the space that we have. So this is our current assumption that we'll stick with until we know more and get on to the next step of the project.
What's the length, 30 feet width, and what's the length?
The length is definitely plenty. Each court, these are all standard pickable dimensions, obviously, but 44 feet less 10.
Oh, yeah, 44 by 20 is the court. I'm talking about the runoff.
Yeah, I know, the runoff is 10 feet either
10
direction
on
of
each
the top.
But 64 feet.
Yes,
Okay.
it's perfect. Yeah, so plenty of length in that direction. It's just that space between, which is not abnormal. I asked the design team about that and asked them what would happen if we gave 2 more feet on either side, and it would, obviously that would take out one of the courts.
Okay.
So it's, we'll get the price, see if we need to adjust the stand or not.
Like,
Plenty of opportunities, value engineer that comes out, that's what we thought it would.
again, I want to thank Mark
Sure.
for everything he's doing here. And I also, although Mark talked about it pretty quickly, this issue with the stormwater design and the easement, that potentially, if it hadn't gotten resolved, and we think it's resolved, would have been a significant issue. And we would have had to redesign the whole thing and significantly reduce the footprint. So that's, that was 2 weeks ago, something that, popped up that was of concern, but it appears to be resolved. So again, Mark, thank you, everything for you doing on this important project. Any questions from the master planning group?
Just two questions. One, I guess, is more just schematic, but is there a difference whether you put the basketball court on the dog park side or on the CUD side? So I don't know if flipping it or not does anything for the overall aesthetic of walking in, where you do have that bathroom and everything in the front, where you have the four square and the cornhole on the far side. So does it make sense to keep the design as is, flip it? I don't know. It's just something to think about. And then
Yes.
second
you.
question is, was there any further pull through on the building and whether it made sense to get a little more square footage out of it?
We did. Yeah,
Yes,
we pulled it in. That's why we have more room for the cornhole. So we took out
yes,
a bay off
Right.
either end of it. So
Yeah,
unfortunately,
and-
I'm sure that.
So it's smaller.
Yes, yeah.
it's smaller and,
60
and,
feet
and
plus short. Yeah, we
I
took
think
out a
that's-
bay off either end of it.
So then it's just a bathroom and no storage closet?
No,
Yes.
I'm sorry, that one is actually big.
That,
Yeah,
let me share it.
Yeah, we got the regular plan.
Andrew, I think that was you who was asking the question. So
Yeah.
a couple things. Okay, so there is storage, you see top left. There's actually 3 bathrooms, not 2, which the designer
Yes.
thought was important,
Code
Uh,
required.
right? And as Mark pointed out, we've
Yeah.
shrunk the size of the covered pavilion. And based upon the cost estimates that we'll be getting 30 to 45 days, we may even have to shrink it more, but that's to be determined.
Gotcha. So the pavilion is smaller. That's why we got the extra space on the far side for cornhole. And
Yeah.
then
Right.
we had to add an additional bathroom to the structure that's gonna be up there.
Yeah, that was
Correct.
based on the number of occupants that are potentially there. So nothing we can do about that. And then added a few things for facilities to be able to maintain it. So there's some obviously some other stuff and storage for the thing. So it's all there. There, of course, is fallback positions, quite a few of them. Right now, we're suggesting some decorative metal screens across the front of this instead of just fencing. Because it would really neat. But it turns out that's too expensive. It goes back to our lovely good old green fence that we now get to look at, for instance, around the school or the dog or matching the dog park, I should say. So there's lots of things we can pull back out of it if we need to.
And then the pavilion, is that still symmetrical as far as equal on
Yes.
each side?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you know why we have these, like large limit state based in the parking area instead of just more parking? I know the dog park has it, but I don't know.
yeah, it's sort of rhythm all the way down. You bring up the civil thing again. I don't have any good reason other than trying to match what's happening. It changed right at the front because the handicapped parking spaces kind of changed that really short.
Yeah.
Which is the
Yes.
light ones, your base, up top, the fourth?
They're a little hard to see out here. The white things are the planters.
Yeah.
The handicap spaces are right next to the entry. Honestly, I was just keeping the same way in the dog park. You would gain some spaces, yes.
Those are basically one punching stall, right?
Yeah, they are. They're pretty big.
They have that hot parking across the street on the slope of the ditch.
Yeah, we always are.
That's gonna be a hot parking. It's a reality.
Okay,
Yeah.
team, if there's no other questions, let's,
Yeah, we got time to discuss that or not, but it's, I'm not sure how to landscape. There is requirements for landscape along these things, so. It's a greater question with the sign team if there's any requirements that would force them. The other thing this will do is that he's going in front of whatever the institute is for the park, is the company.
Yeah.
So that, it'll go in for that too.
Joe,
Yes.
Alex was not present, so do you want to skip the baseball field update?
No, I'm texting him. He's in a
Okay.
car. He's gonna try to join. So I'm gonna speak slowly. And see if I can give a little bit of an update and maybe he'll repeat it. So what Alec wants to, he wants to take the lead. He'd like the support of the master planning group to work with the school to see, again, this is aspirational, but whether or not we could, update the joint use agreement with the school district to allow potentially the community to have access to the grass fields, the baseball field, and potentially also the track. So at a minimum, to kind of reclaim what was lost with the addition of the fence. So if Alec doesn't join us shortly, that's what he would like to not only, as he's doing it kind of unilaterally right now, but to know that he's got the support of at least a master planning group to initiate and start those conversations or continue those conversations.
Yeah,
So-
it's pretty much that needs to be in place that are not at the moment. The other key thing is that we could build another midfield there. So possibility of extension.
That's part two, right? That's part, right.
Yeah, exactly. Part one
Right.
is get back in place the agreements that are in place where we
Get-
have better access.
And then part two, put in 2 baseball fields, and snack pavilion, and get a lease, with the school that would protect the town, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Yeah.
So I think, again, if Alec's not here, I think we should have a discussion. Do we have an issue if Alec is having do we support Alec, and do we think that this is a worthwhile discussion to have for the joint use to go promote that conversation?
Didn't CCBD want to expand baseball field? Or do
I'm sorry?
baseball?
No, they were after.
No.
That fast, not quite. They were after it for community center action. Before,
But I thought like baseball was like one of their top priorities.
it is to figure out where to put baseball fields if you're to put a new community center on that property.
Yeah, because if you were subtracting baseball fields, they gotta find somewhere else to put it. That's what they were looking at.
But
So,
based on recent conversations with the school district, they are not interested in selling that land.
Right.
They put it
And
back,
that's
so
fine.
we understand where they're coming from.
yeah, let's say have to do this.
So
Which they did.
Yeah, with the requirement.
But I guess just the conversation on joint use, and this might be a stretch, but is it possible to encumber a joint use across baseball fields, track, the outdoor basketball, and potentially the gymnasium as well?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know, you have to get the gymnasium,
Well,
included,
right.
the rest of it.
Right.
I don't see why
But we
not.
started
Again,
at the
that's an
minimum.
opportunity where you have almost like, I'm just thinking, where I grew up, I played middle schools for basketball when I was younger.
Yeah,
Do you get an agreement with the school so that Osceola has a basketball league out of Celebration and uses that venue along with baseball, track and field, whatever else it may be,
But doesn't one of the churches?
oh, yeah, there's 2 groups. So that's where my son is right now, is
Yeah,
doing basketball with one of the 2 groups that doesn't, it's actually with the coaches.
So that's money is already met through
Yeah,
other entities
so
within the
The
community.
gym, everybody's using that one already, just have to have it open when it counts. So CCA uses it and also Sharks. that's not a basketball version. Definitely use it, and of course, there's volleyball, there's other folks that are using it all the time as well. So that's easier than what's occurring with the baseball fields, and that building is actually maintained. The issue is school's not touching these baseball fields and they're falling apart. And you can't, if it rains, you're done. Because the field that's behind the gym is a mud pit. It's just not maintained. And so by getting this agreement back in place, we then can hopefully as a community do a better job of actually in good shape.
Which I guess does a formal drainage solution
That's true.
call right now, if you do a joint use agreement, are you looking for the community to put in some type of drainage so we can use them appropriately? That they are something we can use rather than just being a mud pit most of the time.
Yeah, that'll be a further discussion of I'll pay for that, but that's exactly the problem we have everywhere is drainage not being adequate.
This is the first
So-
step, though, of
So
the
to
whole
me, that's
process
phase
is
two.
phase one is you have to have a dialogue with the school.
We
Somebody
need to have
has
an
to have
agreement in place and then we can talk
Right.
about what
and then,
how
you know,
far that lets go.
and whether or not it's just a baseball field, whether or not it's the baseball field, I think they already covered, but the grass field where flag football and others sports were being played, you know, track and field, gym, etc. We've got to start the dialogue, right?
Yeah.
Or continue the dialogue. And Alec just is really his conversation he had with me is he just wants to make sure we're in generally supportive of that because he doesn't want to have the conversation only then to come back to us to say we have no interest. Not to be confused with the Crower Board of Directors, who will be the decision makers, but at least we can start laying out some of the groundwork. And unless there's any disagreement, I'm going to tell Alec to continue with his efforts.
No, I think
Joe,
it
I
makes
think
sense for him
that's
to
foundational
proceed, and I think it was unfortunate that it got lost originally, but yeah, if he can make another run at it and put that relationship back in place, then that makes perfect sense.
I'm just gone. I think we agree. No problem. And hopefully some comes of it to get it all better.
Excellent. Okay, good. Well, thank you for that. What was not on the agenda, there's two more items, but I'll add potentially one item. I don't know, Bob or Andrew, if you have anything you want to add as relates to the maintenance shed update, if there's any new news from the work that you showed last month.
We haven't had an opportunity to meet because I asked for time for Luis Santiago, our new facilities director, to get his feet underneath him and understand operations. But we do have a meeting tomorrow.
Excellent. Okay, that's probably what's on the agenda. So perfect. Okay.
Which, I know you're on, but Lauren was still having trouble finding the easement, so do we want to push that meeting to give them a little more time to try to find the easement documentation?
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. I'll send something out tomorrow with some alternatives.
Along all these same lines, so I'm going to try to get a rough process down, whether it take to do something with the East Village field. That is a super mud pit that's never been touched since day one. But is there's something to be done there. Because now we literally have no field that people can just walk onto that's of any kind of quality. The village area. This one, I'm gonna keep saying it until I'm blue in the face, but we need to take out all that little brush down here. It's simply not safe. It needs to be cleared out. The perimeter, yeah, for sure. This thing back here, it's way out of control. That no park in a situation like this should have that around it. There needs to be visibility into it for safety, and kids can go in there. This fear. So anyway, and it's literally brush that's just grown up over time. So from a safety perspective, it really does need to be cleared out. Residents want pushes around it, that's fine, but this 20+ feet of just underbrush that's grown up over time. This shouldn't be there. It also gains space on fields themselves. But anyway, I'm hoping we can get that addressed one day. There's something for safety. So that's it's staying on. But back to the fields, we now need to get these fields better. Seriously. Just lost one. So. Yeah. See, start the process of looking at ideas for the East Village field. I know there's people that even donate money to the turf on it. So. It's one of those things that, hey, put your logo in the middle of it, pay for it. And that idea.
Someone's coming forward with money, I think that makes it easier for a board decision.
It sure does, doesn't it? So that's why I want to find out what it costs, because they might actually do it, which is fine with me. But it's a question of, is it a $200,000 thing, put turf on every grade, or is it 400? One number is easier to get to than the other. But it's now getting more and more important instead, it becomes more of a, it's a true mud pit. I get breasts out there for like football now, and so does the school teams do. It's a sponge for brains and mud fest out there.
And Lauren,
So-
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you just let Alec into the phone? He's in the waiting room. Sorry, Mark.
Well, it's wrangling on anyway, but that's something else I'm gonna try to start to find out more information and rough idea of costs, and then we can decide if we want to do anything or not.
Alex, Joe gave us an update on the baseball field conversation, and the committee is generally, I mean, there's consensus that they're supportive of the conversation.
You can continue to go with conversations, Alec, as it relates to joint use. And we're generally supportive of that. And, knowing that this is step one of a 5-step process and that you have our support. And then obviously, whatever progress we're making it needs to clearly be run through and managed by the CROA board of directors. But that this is something that needs to be done, right? At a minimum, get back what we had, and then at a maximum, get expanded joint use, and then a long-term lease, so that we can build, or rebuild the baseball field, add a second baseball field, and create a baseball complex.
Okay, so that's fantastic. I think one thing that I wanted to bring to the group doesn't have to be discussed today, but as we think about phase one, oh, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah,
Yes,
Alec, that
yeah.
is feedback that will just drive you crazy when you're speaking. It's nobody speaking over you. It's just your voice.
Okay. One thing that, because we're off cycle on the budget, is there support from the group that some of the capital fund could be redirected for the first year of maintenance, if that's something that the joint use agreement requires?
So, thank you, Alec. And maybe, probably, most likely. What I was hoping to present tonight, but it's not quite finished yet, and I need Jim to sign off on it, is a 4-year view of money coming into the capital reserve and money going out. So in other words, we know the balance now. I'll make it up as 2 point something million. We know money is coming in. We know we've got to finish 851. We've got the sports courts. We don't know what those final amount's going to be, but it will just lay out all the projects, beginning balance and ending balance. And then amongst that, we'll know how much is available to invest in, the next wave of projects being park enhancements. And I would argue, Alec, that, that's one of our parks. right? It's a baseball park, but it's a park, and so that would be, you know, we would balance that versus, putting new sod down on the East Lawn fields or whatever, right? It would all be reviewed in that envelope.
I would just be careful of that language, Joe, that if we're getting into a joint use, that's not our land. Where
I just-
if we do something to East Village, that truly is our land. So
Right, so we, so,
there's
so,
two
so
dynamics
you,
there of, I'm for the joint use for the baseball fields as it currently stands today. But then if we're talking about doing improvements there, then yeah, where does that fall in line of multi-purpose courts and other developments within the
that's
community?
right. You would say, I treat it differently. I'm not think it's a high priority because it could be taken away from us at a point, and then we would say, okay, it's lower on the list, or we could say, hey, no, it's important. It's got to be on the list for us to then prioritize. And yes, it's unique in that respect that it's not our land. Sure.
Which Alec, today, right, full supportive of the joint use. It's just, what type of development would you be looking for to put there? That's the question that we can discuss at a later time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's
No,
the same
understood.
conversation.
I think that's,
Go ahead.
yeah, down the road, of course, we want to move quickly, but totally understand the uniqueness of this situation, with careful with where we spend money if we think that there's risk there. So if the committee's good, I'll
Yeah.
take this as a forward action. Lauren and I have been trying to connect. We've talked with Charles a little bit. We'll try and connect on this first phase, where, reestablishing the joint use as it once existed, which did have some financial obligation for some maintenance and such, but we'll work through the language there. And then phase 2, 3, 4, whatever that looks like, we'll make sure that we write in or try to propose some protections.
Alec,
you.
do you know what the prior joint use maintenance costs were that they were looking for?
We maintained the landscaping, we paid the electrical bill, we paid the water bill.
Which that netted to how much?
I'll have to pull it and then send it out. If you redid the joint use the use agreement and PROA was required to maintain those fields, then I would say your landscaping / maintenance costs need to increase because it was bare minimum, just
Yeah, that's why it fell
landscaping.
apart, because we didn't take care of it, so they
Yeah.
said to hell with the agreement, right? It's not a joint use, it's a one-person use.
Yeah.
So if we are maintaining, what does that cost to properly maintain it?
Mhm.
How to keep that in a good condition with the school board?
That's good. There's good thoughts, good discussion. And I think, that this, how do we prioritize and what are we looking at for projects? So because at some point Alec may come back and say, okay, we got land use, we got a joint use, we got everything. Hey, do we want to go build another baseball field there? And where would those funds come from? And again, as I said, this master spreadsheet that I'm developing will allow us to look and say, okay, do we build a bigger, do we build a bigger pavilion on the sports courts, right? That may cost an extra couple of $100,000. How do we balance that versus enhancing one of the parks? And it'll just all be there. And somebody may say, well, you can't afford that. Well, yes, we can. Well, we can afford it because here's the plan. It's a 4-year lookout. Because right now we currently look within the envelope of 1 year. And it's I just like us to look at it. We don't have to vote on it. We don't have to approve it. It'll just be a tool for us to look at and use to help us, guide support for projects as they come in.
That sounds good, Joe.
Right, that
Yep.
was it for topics.
And Joe, you
Yes,
and
sir.
I traded a note,
Yep.
but
Yep.
I'll work on some project plan details to help inform and help with any of
Yes.
the priority. But okay, I think I've got my direction. If everyone's good, we'll
Yep.
connect in with Lauren and keep joint use phase 1 going.
Excellent. Okay, so just any other topics or any other conversations or anything that any of the board members would like to discuss before we close the meeting?
Just one comment on reserve that we were discussing earlier, but I'll work with Jim to finalize what expectations are, but I would think between $1.5 million, 2 million is what the capital reserve or the capital fund should be replaced on an annual basis. So if that's what we have going in, then it's a matter of the current projects we have, how much are we gonna draw that down to what balance will remain, and then what
Well,
that
that,
annual inflow will
Yeah.
be to then put stuff into order.
Yeah, I mean, year to date through October, you brought in a little over $1 million from resales.
again, I'll have this sheet, and then once you have the sheet, you can all mark it up, change it, disagree, but at least it will lay it out over multi-years, because all we do is when we look at this sheet, the one pager that Jim is great doing, it's just a snapshot as to where we are. And it doesn't, give us a 3-year view, and many of these projects, are going to be, multi-years worth of spending, including, parks enhancements, and even the sports courts, will roll into 2027 probably, right, in terms of spending. So. Okay. If there's no other comments or questions,
Well, motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn second. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Evening.
Yep, thank you. Safe
Thanks.
travels.
Bye-bye. Thanks.